Before we begin reading our vintage newspaper today, I'd like to talk about Fanny Brice. One of the famous flappers. Around 1910, she started starring in the Ziegfeld Follies. She was known as Funny Girl. Known for her looks, her comedy, and her singing. Listen a moment to this musical clip with Fanny singing.
As a matter of fact, it should fit you very well.
Never mind the sales call. Just tell me the price. I don't want to buy it, but I'll give you $50 for it, and not a cent more.
Miss Brice, the coat's yours.
Stuck again.
In the 1930s to the 1940s, Fanny Brice was famous for doing a character called Baby Snooks. Stay tuned to the end of this video and you'll see a small clip of her as Baby Snooks. Okay, Fanny, I'll get to the newspaper. Here we go. Today's paper is the American Weekly from Seattle, Washington, dated May 22nd, 1927. College girls ban gum and high heels. College girls are beginning to organize a campaign to disabuse the public mind as to the co-ed type. They believe that the college flapper, as represented in current pictures and fiction, is nothing like the real girl. College publications are responsible for the false impression created. According to the average college publication, the girls claim, the co-ed is represented as a flask-toting, necking, slangy young person of extreme sophistication. It is admitted that there may be a few such specimens in some of the American colleges, but for the most part, the type is by no means representative. College girls set out to ban some things. First, no gum chewing, and second, no slang words. Next came the matter of high heels. A limit of 1.5 inches was set. Did you know that one of the flapper fashions was to wear patterned stockings? Then they would roll down their stockings and paint their knees. I think it looks kind of fun. Maybe I'll try it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Kidnapped the baby she lost 6 years ago. In many little towns in the state of Washington and Oregon, particularly in Montesano and Hoquiam, near Seattle, school children grew familiar with the figure of a woman who used to stand near the schoolhouses when they came out to play. They noticed that she peered into their faces as they went by. Then one day, in Hoquiam, the woman saw a little 6-year-old girl going home from school. On the school register, the child's name appeared as Margaret Russell. The woman stopped the little girl. She clasped her in her arms and ran with her to a waiting automobile, which started off as soon as they got in. The woman's name was Mrs. Dela Mickley of Portland, Oregon. She had been an unwed mother when the child had been born to her 6 years before. She was in the Lebanon home in Seattle when she had her baby. When the girl mother asked for a child, she was told it had been given to another woman. The superintendent of the home, Mrs. A. Brown, refused to tell the patient the name of the woman who had her baby. As soon as she could leave the hospital, she began a search all around the towns of Seattle for her baby. How would she identify the baby when she did find it? She couldn't know, but a blind force drove her on in the search. And finally the day came when she saw her child and kidnapped it. Mrs. Mickley says, "I kidnapped my baby after having received legal advice. She was never really legally adopted by Mrs. Russell. I've stood on the street corners for several years looking for Loretta, and now that I found her, I am never going to give her up for anybody." This was the firm declaration of Mrs. Mickey. Mrs. Russell made a determined but unsuccessful attempt to gain custody of the child. Custody was given to Mrs. Mickey, and she was the true mother of the child. Disguised herself as a boy, arrested as a masher. Grace Kenny got along very well as a girl because she was young and pretty, but it occurred to her one day that it would be lots of fun to be a boy for a while. Boys, the young Los Angeles girl had heard, could enjoy so many adventures that were denied to the girls. There was no trouble to become a boy. All one had to do was get a young man's suit of clothes, a hat, and leave home. Grace is an impulsive girl. No sooner had the idea formed in her mind than she determined to execute it. She had money enough to get a couple of male outfits, and then she was ready for her great adventure. One day, she thought she might have a bit of fun with the girls. She put on her new suit of clothes and posted herself on the street corner. Lots of pretty girls passed by. She smiled at them all and presently got an answering smile from a couple of girls. As she went up to talk to one of the girls, 2 men came up and placed her under arrest. The first charge was that of mashing. When they talked to the slender lad a while, they decided to make it vagrancy. They had no idea the true state of affairs until they started to throw their prisoner into the tank. The tank of the city jail was full of male prisoners in varying degrees of intoxication. It was then that Jerry McFarland reverted to type and became again little Grace Kenny. She called for the matron. She's a girl again now and says she's content to stay put from now on. Prettiest Chinese flapper in America. To represent the new China in America, the Chinese of San Francisco recently held their colorful Feast of the Lanterns, which features never before seen at this annual celebration. Principal of the innovations was a beauty contest for Chinese flappers. In the Feasts of the Lanterns, more than 20 Chinese American girls, many of them students at local high schools and colleges, participated in a contest to determine who was to have the honor of being crowned the prettiest Chinese flapper. The winner of the contest was Miss Mary Lee. She has already been engaged by one of the motion picture companies of Hollywood, and all the other Chinese flappers are now waiting around for next year's contest. They never tasted the equal of K. Warning, K is sold only in containers bearing the name K and the Kraft trademark. Look for both. Do not accept it as K if sold otherwise. I can wear smaller shoes now. I bathe my feet in Tiz. Oh yes, I can wear smaller, daintier shoes since I use Tiz. It's because my feet are never swollen or tender anymore. The minute you put your feet in a Tiz bath, you'll feel pain and tenderness drawn out. Oh, what a relief! No more tired, aching, burning, shoe-chafed feet. Tiz draws out the poisons and acids that puff up your feet. Get a box of Tiz for a few cents at a department store. How does your mother do it, Dot? Asked Martha Ellis, a small, slender girl in delicate lavender organdy. This is such a gorgeous root beer. The Kappa Club was having a weekly secret session on the Marvin's roomy side porch, a small but select gathering of preppy high school girls in pretty summer frocks. Jane and I will take the credit ourselves this time, thanks, laughed Dot. We made it with our own little hands. A drink that delights your whole family. Hires Household Extract for making root beer at home.
Never mind that. I'm going to buy you a popsicle.
And I want some jelly beans and some lollipops and that mustard.
Yes, you want the whole store. The whole store, but you can't have it.
Why?
Now, don't you torment me, Snooks. You can only have one thing. Now, what do you want?
I want that thing over there.
That's a soda jerk.
I like them.
Getting more like your mother every day.